I am a user of the 14-inch MacBook Pro, and there's a very good reason for that. I myself am primarily an Android user, but I don't use Windows on the laptop side. I have a Windows desktop because I do play games quite a lot, but because of the fact that I don't play games on my laptop and the constant issues that Windows has on the laptop side, at least on the laptops that I've tried, I've stayed away from Windows laptops ever since the Razer Blade 15, which really soured my experience with Windows on the laptop side. However, the Surface Laptop 5 is a laptop that might be changing how I view the Windows laptop market. Let's talk. Let's start with the thing that you're going to be looking at 95% of the time when you're using this laptop, the screen. The screen on the Surface Laptop 5 is above average for a Windows laptop. It has very good color accuracy, sRGB. The brightness gets very high to the point where I can view it outdoors in very bright sunlight. However, if you're indoors and if there's sunlight coming in, you might have some reflection issues, because you might be seeing yourself in the panel a little more than you will be seeing like the actual stuff on your screen. It's more of a glossy panel issue, but you can definitely still make out some things. But that's why I prefer a more matte display. Even the MacBook Pro has this issue. Matte displays are better. That's just a fact. However, I am disappointed with Microsoft because their Surface Laptop Studio, their kind of half convertible laptop line, it's very confusing, has a 120Hz display, and so does their Surface Pro line, their tablet Windows devices. But the Surface Laptop hasn't gotten 120Hz. I don't know why. It definitely has the battery to keep up with it. I would expect a Microsoft of all people to make their products well-rounded, especially for the price that you're paying for this laptop. It should at least have 90, if not 120 Hz to match the rest of its product line. It's kind of confusing. Next up is battery life. So, I mean, for a Windows laptop, battery life is thought of differently than the newer MacBooks, right? The newer MacBooks, for example, the lowest battery life you'll get on those is actually the MacBook Pro 14. And the lowest of that being 14 hours of what Apple says. Obviously, you're not getting 14 hours of runtime. It's more like 10 hours on my version of the MacBook Pro. But 10 hours of real use is still amazing, off the charts. But the Surface Laptop 5 is a bit more down to earth, as it is using an Intel processor. There is no integrated GPU, which does help that battery life a little bit. It keeps it from sucking as much power. But the battery life on the Surface Laptop 5 is probably some of the best you'll get on the Windows side, even if it has an Intel processor. It gets about, I would say, 7 to 8 hours of real-world use. I'd say never trust what the manufacturer actually tells you on the website, because that's testing with super low brightness and CPU settings tweaked to the lowest and all that. They're trying to crank out the battery for as long as possible. What you should do is watch reviews like mine, and not just mine, other people have more extensive battery reviews. If you want to really understand how battery life on Windows works, and specifically to the device that you're looking for, definitely watch reviews. This laptop on its own has pretty good battery life. I mean, you can get through a full work day, a full school day, in my case. Yeah, it's definitely above average. You will not be sad about the battery life on this laptop. Okay, so when you use your laptop, you are typically interacting with the built-in keyboard and trackpad. If you're not, you're probably docked to an external monitor, which I am, but it's a laptop, right? You are bringing it around places, you are putting it in your bag, you're taking it to work, you're taking it to school, to your classes. You're going to need a good trackpad to, you know, navigate the OS. You're going to need a good keyboard to type up everything you need to type up. I don't know what you're doing, but you will not be disappointed. Microsoft has historically had some of the best keyboards on the Windows side. And the most recent Windows laptop that I've tried out was the Dell XPS 13. And that keyboard was, I mean, it was great. It was a bit cramped. I do have bigger hands. I'm a bigger person. I'm like 6'2". So when I use it, the XPS 13 Plus, it was a bit cramped for me, which is probably that's why I bought the 15-inch version of this device. I didn't want to get that same issue, but this keyboard is just so nice to type on. There's great travel. The click is just so satisfying, and I haven't had any issues with, like, you know that issue where sometimes you'll hit it once and then it'll type out 2 of that letter. Yeah, I haven't had that issue. That usually happens on Bluetooth keyboards, but I've seen that happen to some people even on integrated keyboards like the ones that laptops have. But yeah, you won't have any issues with these. The trackpad is not haptic like the Surface Laptop Studio. Again, these discrepancies don't make sense. Just bring the features down from the Studio line to the Surface Laptop line. People are going to be buying this laptop a lot more than that one because of the weird spinny hinge thing that the display does. But other than that, I can't really harp on the keyboard and trackpad. It's a solid A. This laptop doesn't have a GPU. I mean, technically it does. It has an iGPU, but there's no separate GPU like the NVIDIA or AMD graphics. You will be getting Intel Iris Xe graphics, which are okay. I wouldn't use them for gaming because I got like 16 FPS on the Heaven benchmark with high settings and 2x anti-aliasing. Yeah, not the best showing, but people who are buying this laptop aren't trying to game. You're trying to get work done. And, well, you can definitely get photo editing done. I'd say light video editing, 1080p video like you're watching right here. And some other very light creative work. You're not buying this to do intense renders. If you want to do that, look to other more gaming or creator-oriented laptops. You will, however, be able to do a lot of tasks in the background because it does have 16 gigabytes of RAM on my model, 1112 gigabytes of storage, and an i7 1255U. That is 10 cores, 12 threads, which in and of itself means that this laptop is definitely gonna get your browsing, your Discording, whatever light things you need to do, not super heavy things, but things an average person would be able to do. You will be able to get it done, right? But the issue I have with this laptop isn't really the specs, because the specs are okay. It's the price that you're paying for them. For comparison, you can get a Dell XPS 15 with a much better CPU, a 12700H, like CPUs that you can find in full-on gaming laptops, and an RTX 3050 with 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM, 512 gigabytes of SSD storage. I mean, a really good display. That isn't touchscreen, but most people, some people care about touchscreen, but a lot of people don't care about touchscreens because you don't want to see fingerprints on your screen all the time. You have a really accurate trackpad on both devices anyway, right? So if you're comparing spec for spec, you're paying more on this device for a much worse performing experience, right? But that's the thing about the Microsoft Surface Laptop 5. It's not meant for people who are chasing specs. I mean, if you look at the design of this laptop, you'll see that Microsoft has really put in the time to refine this design. This is almost the exact same as Surface Laptop 4 and 3, and well, sometimes it can really show, right, in the Surface connector, which is stupid and shouldn't exist. It's like poor man's MagSafe, right? I like MagSafe on my laptop, the MacBook Pro 14, but on this laptop, no. Especially the angle of which not just the not just the connector itself. All of the ports on this laptop are like on a slanted edge, so it is incredibly annoying to try to plug anything in. If you're like on a flat tabletop, it's just not doable. It's not fun. You have to pick up the laptop, angle it up, then plug it in. Yeah, it's a whole mess. And the screen bezels are pretty thick too. But I mean, you're getting Microsoft's first class experience, right? The Dell XPS 15 has QC issues. You won't get any of that here. You have that amazing rigid CNC aluminum Apple-esque build quality here, right? You have almost zero bugs. I haven't had any issues with navigating the OS, no battery issues, and that's a first for me on any Windows laptop. Even my XPS 13 Plus had a battery issue to begin with that I had to search for this random Windows update that just wouldn't pop up, and I would just wait and refresh and it just wouldn't come up. So the consistency that you get for paying a little more, for me personally, I wouldn't take that deal because of the fact that, well, the XPS 15 is just performing so much better. But for people who don't want to mess with their stuff, who just want a laptop that just works, for the Windows side, I think the Surface Laptop 5 might just be your best option. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.